Heyo, Omnidogs and Omnikittens. It's Omnidog. Thank you for tuning in to a show that has been suggested to me from his YouTube show, Brian, who is on a channel that is called Sheehan is Dead. He and his partner interview top-level people, review books. That a lot of times, mostly what I've seen from them are interviews. I've been on the show with Very Fine Condition, very fun channel. Brian is mostly a DC guy. And he's said to me, what are good Marvel books to read if you're primarily a DC guy? That's what happened to me 10 years ago. But first, a word from our sponsor, Organic Price Books, where you can get a lot of these books. Use code Omnidog for $2 off your order. Big savings. I use this code. 5% off shipping 4 or more books together using the code Omnidog. Sit right on. So I was thinking, I was going to compare things like who's the Superman of Marvel? Who's the Bruce Wayne of Marvel? But then I thought, let's not go there. Let's just find stories, books, characters that a DC fan can go in cold like I did 10 years ago and read stories that will be easy to read for the new reader and are still awesome. So that's how I started 10 years ago, 2014, Astonishing XMen. This is my choice for a DC guy to read. This is one of the 10 years ago I went in by LCS, which is Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, and I said to Steve, the owner, what books can I read from Marvel that are good and big and collected? This was one of the first ones he showed me. This is a great X-Men series. It doesn't require any previous knowledge. You can go into it. If you've seen X-Men 97, that'll get you some knowledge, but I didn't have any knowledge of this book, and I had no trouble with it. The book I actually read before it, which I think it might be a better idea to do. This is the book that made me fall for, and yes, I'm aware she's an imaginary character, Emma Frost, Grant Morrison's New X-Men. This is a chonky chonker. It's very big. It's got, for the most part, to be easier to handle, it's got wonderful art. Grant Morrison's story is fantastic, and I read this with zero X-Men knowledge except for the movies, and now I know why Very Fine Condition likes to jam me up about liking Last Stand. It all makes sense now that I know the X-Men better than I did. So this would be a good place to start for X-Men. New X-Men and then Astonishing X-Men. If you can't get both, at least get Astonishing X-Men. Supreme choices. They're amazing. They're the books that made me fall in love with not only Emma Frost, but the X-Men in general. Now, if you want kind of a street level hero, and you're a DC reader and you're wanting to get into Marvel, Daredevil by Bendis. Fantastic story. This is when Bendis was at the peak of his powers for Marvel, and Daredevil is an incredibly interesting and intricately thought of character. He is well thought out of, and what am I meaning by that? Well thought out of? That's not even proper grammar. Bendis obviously took a lot of thought and care in kind of reshaping what his vision for Daredevil was. Once you read this, you're going to get hooked, and you're going to want volume 2. That ends volume 2. You could walk away after it on volume 2, but you're going to want to know how it plays out. So then you're going to need to get both volumes of Brubaker's Daredevil. I think that's great. You should. It's an awesome run. Those 4 Omnis are some of the best things out there just in the general comics market, not just Marvel and DC. Moon Knight. Where can you start with Moon Knight? I am a big fan of Jed MacKay. His Moon Knight, I think, is... I read it over. I looked at it. It involves... Now, Moon Knight has several personalities. And this personality is where he dresses like this. The Midnight Mission is kind of a storefront of people with Moon Knight who's trying to keep their neighborhood safe. People come to him with issues they're having with their neighbors, if a gang's moving in, if there's trouble. And there is trouble because the first half of this book deals with vampires who are trying to take over the United States, and the leader is back in Europe. He even ends up hiring a couple of the vampires because they have no desire to kill humans. They just want to get along. I guess they have, oh, and it's got Tiger in it. I forgot. So it's a book that Moon Knight, his dedication to Khonshu, you see it here. That's also something new to you that is explained really well and not a long thing, but you pick up on things as you go along. There's also another Moon Knight, a Fist of Khonshu, who is, now I'm blocking on his name. Hunter's Moon. There. It wasn't on the back. I just remembered it. Hunter's Moon shows up, and he doesn't think Moon Knight's being knighty enough or moony enough. So at first he's against Moon Knight, and then he becomes an ally. Written really well, as all Jed MacKay's books are. That's a good Marvel book for a DC reader. Silver Surfer. Here's what you need to know. That's Galactus, the Planet Eater. Norrin Radd is the Silver Surfer, and he quits his job as Galactus's herald to go experience life and find purpose and things like that. This is by Dan Slott with art by 2 of my favorite creators and people. Mike and Laura Allred do a fantastic job in this book. And Dan Slott writes really well. There's a girl that ends up, as you can see right here, she ends up flying around with Norrin Radd to all these various places in the universe on his surfboard. And it's great. It is really, really, really great. They visit all kinds of interesting planets, meet all kinds of interesting species, and the ending made me cry. I forgot to put that in the Made Me Cry video, and I'm sorry, because it was awesome. Now, what if you want to start with Spider-Man? Spider-Man's been around for 60 years, and I haven't read him yet. How do I read him? I can't just jump into something. Here's what you can jump into. It's an omnibus, but I have the original oversized hardcovers. Ultimate Spider-Man. Marvel, back in the early 2000s, created an Ultimate Universe, which was a complete reboot. And this is also when Brian Michael Bendis was at the peak of his powers. He wrote Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, and it is fantastic. This is the place for a DC reader to start Spider-Man. I believe it's 3 Omnis right now. It could end up 4 or 5, depending. I'm not collecting them because I kept the OHCs, which were 12 OHCs plus an Omni. So it's probably going to be 5. But get the first Omni and you'll be hooked. The art by Mark Bagley's great. And the writing by Brian Michael Bendis is simply chef's kiss. Ultimate Spider-Man is the book for you if you want to get into Spider-Man. What about Fantastic Four? Where would somebody start with Fantastic Four? Now, if some of these books are out of print, don't worry about it. Keep a list. We're in the age of reprints. If it's out of print now, it's getting reprinted. Don't worry. It may take a couple of years, but it's getting reprinted. What if you wanted to start out in Fantastic Four? I don't think there are a lot of user-friendly runs, new user-friendly runs that a DC person could just jump into. So, Fantastic Four by the fantastic Mark Waid is a very easy introduction. Mark Waid does a wonderful job of not introducing the characters, but bringing the characters in organically, explaining why they're there in short little things, maybe just context box or the word balloons. This is, I believe this is in the top 2 of my Fantastic Four runs. This is in an omnibus now. It was 3 oversized hardcovers, but Fantastic Four by Mark Waid is a tremendous way for you to get into it. Here's a book that has no attachment to any book, but is attached to every book. That book is Marvels. This book was a game changer. I bought this myself in floppies. I think it started back in like 90, 92, somewhere in there. I remember reading it in floppies and just being stunned at the artwork. It is about a photographer and the street level story of seeing these heroes at work in the Marvel Universe. So it's remarkable. It's the first time I had ever seen Alex Ross art. Might be the first time I ever read Kurt Busiek. I'm not sure. But Marvel's, not only is it fabulous, realistic artistry, but it's a unique take. Seeing all the heroes as a normal person looking up in the sky or watching them climb walls or whatever it is their superpowers allow them to do is really a good idea. And Kurt Busiek nails it, and so does Alex Ross. This is a standalone book. You can get it in OHC, you can get it in trade paperback, you can get it in giant size. Lovely. Lovely. Another one of the books that Steve at Third Eye recommended to me was The Immortal Iron Fist. Now this is a new edition, which is like all Iron Fist around that time. It's easy to get into it because Danny Rand is about to start out in sorry, it's very heavy. He's ready to go back to where he started, and in the snowy mountains of Kowloon. Wait, Kowloon, that's Hong Kong. What am I thinking of? Well, I'm blocking it, but he learns. It's how he learns all the things he does and is vowed to protect that very remote, snowy city where he is taught. And then there are a lot of things that, obviously there are a lot more things that happen. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell the name of where he is. It's not, doesn't matter. The important thing is that Brubaker and Fraction together write a great story. The rest of the stories in here are okay. They're above average and very good. But I would concentrate on finding just the Fraction and Brubaker stuff. If it's available in a complete collection or one of the old copies, get the old omnibus and it's just Fraction and Brubaker. I really loved this book when I was starting out reading in 2014 collected editions. So I'm blanking on where where Danny goes and learns his art. And I'm sure that I will think of it as soon as this video is over. But yeah, go on eBay or someplace maybe and just find the original omnibus with Fraction and Brubaker's writing. It's awesomely awesome. I really dug it. If you liked Ms. Marvel, the TV series, you'll love the original. Ms. Marvel by G. Willow Wilson. This is a brand new character with a brand new introduction. She worships Captain Marvel. And she is a Muslim teenager in New Jersey who gains powers because of the Terrigen mist that affects her and gives her powers. They changed that in comics because the TV show wanted her to be a mutant. She's an inhuman. I mean, come on. So, yeah, here we have some Inhumans because that's what Ms. Marvel is, despite what Marvel's doing now. Gio, my friend on Omnibros, said Ms. Marvel is his generation's Peter Parker. She's a troubled, happy, cringy, scared, powerful, all those things. Happy, joyous, free to make choices, and she chooses to protect her neighborhood. This book is great. So, even though they say she's an X-Men, she's Inhuman. Ms. Marvel. G. Willow Wilson did a great job with that. Now, what if you're a Star Wars fan? I don't need to hear from you how every movie and TV show sucks, okay? Let's leave that for some other forum. I'm approaching it as someone that loves Star Wars and loves the books. These two books have been made into an Omni, or you can get them for cheap because the omnibus might be out of print, but I know these two oversized hardcovers still exist, and that is Darth Vader, and it takes place right after episode 4, it's really episode 1, A New Hope, when the Death Star is destroyed. Well, the Emperor has decided that maybe there's somebody out there better than Vader, and because it's seen as Vader's mistake. And killing, oops, I just read the killing. So Darth Vader has to set out to prove himself again to the Emperor, and he recruits one of the best new characters, Dr. Afra. And Dr. Afra is an archaeologist whose morals and ethics are cloudy at best. She is an archaeologist for hire. B21 and then the evil 000 murder droids. She has those. Darth Vader needed her to find them, get them out of the security place they were because they're so dangerous. And Dr. Afra is awesome. Kieran Gillen did an amazing job in this book writing it. We're also treated to the existence of a mirror opposite of Chewbacca, a wonderful character. It's like Black Kazakhstan, Black Karanistan, whatever. He's a Wookiee that's black furred and deadly, and she's Dr. Afra's working for Darth Vader, so you know it's going to get pretty murdery, and it does. But Karen Gillan writes it so well. It's amazing. If you like Dr. Afra, and you should, then you can pick up this amazing omnibus, which does have, if you can't find Darth Vader, the important stories are in here. So this book's huge. To the establishing stories of her character are in this book. If you can't find Darth Vader, and she has her own thing to do, which is go around the galaxy, find hidden or lost or locked away things to steal and get money for them. This is some super science fiction-y great stuff. Dr. Afra's one of my favorite characters the past I don't know, 30 years maybe. She's just, and the murder droids are like legit scary. Way legit scary. And I'm just paging through here, looking at it. And it's great. It's really a big book, and I'm having trouble holding it up. But she encounters all kinds of villains and less than honorable people along her way. And she does get struck with a bit of a conscience at times, which is very, very interesting. I'm trying to see if I can figure out Black Karnabakis. Wookiee Hunt Bounty Hunter Black Chrysanthemum. Black Chrysanthemum. I like Black Kazakhstan better, but okay, Dr. Afra. Last three that I would recommend. Unbelievable Gwenpool. I love this book, and I love Gwenpool. She doesn't just tear down the fourth wall. She goes through panels and into other comics and through the pages. She's basically from this Earth, say this is Earth 616, and she gets transported into comics with all her Marvel knowledge on how to defeat the villains in the book. It is a riot. These are genuinely fun and funny stories, and I love Gwenpool. I love it so. I love her so much because she gets into amazing fixes and figures out how to get herself out of it. She makes a costume of her own. She meets all kinds of interesting, crazy people, and she just goes and goes and goes, and she has the drop on everybody because she knows villains' weaknesses and stuff. But it doesn't always work out, and she can get in some trouble. Is this Jeff the Land Shark? I forgot about this. I wonder. I can't remember. Maybe this is the first appearance of Jeff the Land Shark. It makes sense. And she also has lots of Hawkeyes that show up and other heroes. Gwenpool's fantastic. Just funny, lighthearted, great, exciting, interesting concept. The first in the main series, Christopher Hastings writes it, and he does a great job. Now this book, Captain America by Brubaker, all you need to know is that there's Captain America, and Bucky Barnes was his sidekick back in World War II. Well, they found Cap, but they never did find Bucky. And this is where the Winter Soldier storyline first appeared in this book. Captain America has to face Winter Soldier. And Ed Brubaker writes such a great book. I read Captain America. Now, here's the thing. Once you like number 1, you're going to want to get 2 through 5. And I read all 5 Omnis over a period of 4 days. I just could not get enough of it. Very new reader friendly, very friendly to a DC reader. Winter Soldiers, this is where he was created, where they came up with the concept. Also, spoiler alert, the next book has Death of Captain America as the cover on it. And he actually, spoiler alert, dies in this. But don't worry, he gets better. I can't recommend this enough. I'll try to find my video and put a link in the description so you can go see why I loved it so much. I explain it pretty darn well, I think. And now the last book of the Omnis. I have some trades too, so you don't all get all Omni broke. Black Cat by Jed MacKay. This book is what I read first that made me love Jed MacKay's writing. And I don't know that there are other Black Cat books out there, but you can go in cold on this one too as a DC fan and just know that Black Cat is Marvel's Catwoman. She's a thief. She's a jewel thief, but she's a lot more than that in this book. She has a team. Art is so great throughout the whole thing. She has a team that helps her, plans things out, but she's going for multiple dimensional thefts and handling, double-crossing people, handling them. The first half of the book is pretty much her trying to help her mentor who made her what she is today. She's trying to help him, and she even goes up against Wolverine and Iron Man. She steals one of Iron Man's suits. That's how good of a thief she is. Here it is right here. I will also find the link for my review of this and put it in the description box because this book's fantastic. You don't need to know anything about Black Cat at all. You can just read it and love it. So, what about Punisher? If you haven't read any Punisher, I don't think the Garth Ennis, Jason Aaron stuff is what you should jump into. I'd start out with, like, at the beginning of, back in the, I would say, 80s. It's got a lot of Jim Lee art, written by Carl Potts, among other people. Punisher Warzone, let's see when this was written. Gosh, such tiny writing. Punisher War annual first printing 2016. No, when published by Marvel. I seem to recall reading this in the late 80s. And it does an excellent job of telling you who Punisher is and why he became the Punisher. With his assistant, Micro, it gives punishing profiles, tells you everything that's going on in the book, who the characters are. And he is, this book is a great introduction into Punisher. He has run-ins with Spiderman, Doctor Strange, Wolverine, Daredevil. It's really a good, fun. He does kill people. But it's a great way for a DC reader to get into Marvel's The Punisher. Now, I lost this next book, so I'm not going to be showing it to you. I lost it in the flood of 2017. And I just realized I haven't replaced it. And that's Black Widow by Mark Waid and Chris Samney. A lot of the Black Widow movie was taken from that book. it's so well written and the art is so great. And I'm glad that I'm doing this video because I need to get that book again. Black Widow by Wade and Sam Nee is, as I said, a bunch of it is taken from the movie, but that's a really good introduction into Black Widow, who she is and how she got to be like she is. And once you read that, you're going to want to read Kelly Thompson's Black Widow, which is the second best Black Widow ever written. I'm sorry Kelly Thompson didn't get 50 issues of this, but it's got Natasha. She has her not sidekicks, but they're friends who look after her. One of them's Hawkeye, and the other's Bucky Barnes. They keep an eye on her, and she shows up in a city with no memory of being Black Widow. This is well into book 1. She has no memory of being Black Widow. She's a suburban housewife with kids. What? How'd that happen? So, of course, Bucky and Clint have followed her to where she ended up and are trying to figure out how to get her back. That's just one storyline in this really, really good Black Widow series by Kelly Thompson. And the last thing, a trade paperback. This is easy to get into, easy to find, not expensive. Invisible Woman by Mark Waid. Let's start with the easy part. The art is fantastic. All the way through, it's just really, really good art. Mark Waid's a great writer. And in this book, she's a spy. She is a super spy for S.H.I.E.L.D. And Black Widow joins her and helps her out on some of her gigs. And this is a different Invisible Woman. I mean, she has what they call agency. She does things her way. She's not afraid to mix it up. She answers to nobody when it comes to the way she operates out in the field. And Black Widow makes it even more fun as their partners in some of these. And you also get treated to a bunch of Adam Hughes covers. So there we go. I hope this helps all you DC guys out there who want to read Marvel. Sorry this was so long, but I had a lot of books to recommend. Peace and love. I hope you can get into it like I got into it, because Marvel has a lot of really good stuff to offer, starting with what I just named off. So please subscribe, hit the notification bell when that will show you when I put up a new video. Feel free to leave a comment, hit the like button. Peace and love, peace and love. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you got something out of it, and I really appreciate it. The fact that you tuned in. Thank you. Peace and love.